Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here in Denmark today for a little chat about what's been going on my hooks and needles, and also a little bit about what's been going on in my heart. As most of you probably already know, I've been in quite the storm. It had to do with my new Advent sweater. I was accused of stealing the pattern for that sweater, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that because to me, that sweater screams Pia. I know it does to a lot of you too. The way that crazy colors are just thrown on a sweater and then framed, held in check, quite literally in this case. That's very me. Also construction wise, there are so many things that just screams me. But you know, either you know me, you know I would never steal. I don't even see what I would gain from stealing a pattern from someone else. You also know me well enough to see me in the sweater. Or you don't know me and you're not interested in, and I can't really convince you. What I do want to talk about is the depth of gratitude that I owed all of you wonderful people who came through. It was quite the storm. It was outright brutal at one point, and I lost myself just a little bit there for a while. I got consumed with the need for redemption, and I became hard and I became small, and yeah, I lost sight of how I want to move through the world. But you guys were there for me. You caught me when I fell. And you helped me. You gently led me back to me. And that is no small gift. I don't have the words to really tell you how much it meant, but I hope that you can see it in my eyes, see it in my heart. It meant the world to me. So thank you so much to all of you who actually took the time, who decided not to turn your backs on the drama as I have done so often. It's a drama. I don't want anything to do with it. You actually decided to stand up with me, to support me, to reach out with curiosity or kindness or support. It meant the world. So thank you so much. As a very small little thank you to everyone in this beautiful knitting community, I have made the sweater pattern available for free. I pulled it from Ravelry, not because I thought I had done something wrong, not because I was scared of any legal complications. I was actually kind of hoping for legal complications. As you can hear, I did lose myself there. I pulled it to stop the drama, to stop the hostility. And I have decided to make it available for free on my website, misknits.dk. You can go there and get the pattern. You can share it freely with anyone who wants to enjoy it. You can also go and download the pattern if you want to compare it to the sweater that it was being compared to, just to see for yourself. Someone has already claimed that this is not fair to the few people who had the chance to actually buy the pattern while it was available on Ravelry. And I have thought of that. Of course I have. I'm not able to reimburse everyone who bought the pattern because both Ravelry and PayPal have some hefty fees. So that would be a lot of money out of pocket for me. What I can do is I can offer you another pattern from my library. Just contact me either on Ravelry or on my email, pia@misknits.dk. And let me know what pattern you would like. I will be happy to gift you that pattern. I just want this sweater to create some joy now. I needed to go out into the world and make people happy because there has been enough sadness, enough hostility. Now we need joy, happiness. We need to just enjoy our beautiful craft. And speaking about our beautiful craft, I think it's time that we move on to something much lighter. Let's talk about knitting, right? Today I am wearing my finished objects. I finished my cat number 8, finally. That sleeve took forever. I only missed one sleeve on it, and that sleeve took me a month, maybe even more. But it's done, it's off the needles, it is on my body, and I am enjoying it so much. This version is knit in a yak and silk blend from the Danish hand dyer, A Knitter's World. And again, like the other version that I knit, it used a lot less yarn than the original. The original was knit in a very rustic yarn, a worsted weight. This one is a DK weight, and it is a much smoother and softer yarn, and I used a lot less. So I need to get on to Ravelry and update the pattern with a note that if you're using a smoother yarn, you're gonna need considerably less yardage than stated in the pattern. But yeah, my cat number 8 finally finished. When I'm sad, when I'm stressed, when I'm in a storm, I knit up a storm. It's my way of calming down, of creating a quiet space where I can put things into perspective. So there's gonna be some knitting to share today. I do have 4 whips going, and one of them you've seen before. I think the other 3 are new cast-ons. One of them I cast on while I was still in Texas. I think I talked about it, but I'm not sure that I showed it. I bought some wool weave yarn in these gorgeous colors. Aren't they just pretty? You see, they're more true to color when I hold them back here. They're gonna be blown out when I take them too close to the camera. That was mostly for you to actually see the colors. But yeah, this is a DK weight merino superwash, so it is smooth and soft and wonderful. And I have started knitting my snowflower wrap. My snowflower wrap is a long white scarf that has this funny shaping. It droops on purpose. If I hold it, you can't really see. Can you see that it moves a little sideways? Just because I'm not necessarily a fan of a scarf that has a lot of cut off edge as it's hanging around my neck. I am not sure I'm making sense, but anyway, for the snowflower wrap, you do shape it with some increases and decreases to give it a to give it a fun shape. You also cast on and bind off with an I-cord, and you work I-cord on both sides. So the whole thing is framed by an I-cord. The snowflower cowl has, the snowflower wrap has a pattern in the garter stitch. And I chose not to do that because I thought, no, I need something simple. I need something mindless, something just garter stitch, moving stitches from one needle to the other without a care in the world. But you know what? I think I am going to start over. I think I am going to use the real pattern, because when you work the pattern on the original wrap, it also helps to blend the colors just a little bit better. This is very stripy, or maybe I'm just being very sensitive these days. It seems awfully stripy to me. I love how the colors play together. I love working with the yarn. I love the thought of a long, beautiful scarf that I can just wear around my neck. I don't think of this as an outerwear piece. There's not going to be a ton of warmth to it. It is a superwash wool knit at a quite loose gauge. So yeah, what I'm thinking is more something that I wear all day, more garment-like. I don't know. But I actually do think that I am going to rip this back, start over, and use the pattern that I originally put on this wrap. So there you go. Yeah. I should listen to myself more. I also cast on a pair of Christmas socks. They're in a Christmas bag made by my friend Bitten. Unfortunately, she doesn't sell her bags, which, yeah, she doesn't. But I have been fortunate enough to get quite a few of her bags, and I use them a lot. Inside are actually 2 socks, because I think I mentioned this on the last episode. This Christmas sock, it is called Nissestrømpen, and I'm gonna check if it's available in English. If not, I would say if you get the pattern, you can get the color work chart, and you can just add this chart to any vanilla sock that you're making. I am changing mine a little bit. I am knitting the leg shorter and the cuff a little longer, so that I only have 1 round of little nisser. Yeah, I like that. I also like the two rounds of the color work chart. But I knew from the get-go that this was not going to be easy for me. I'm not an experienced sock knitter, and I was like, color work in the round on such fine needles and on such a small circumference. But I decided to go with my 9-inch circulars so that I wouldn't have to carry floats from one needle to the next, as I would have had to if I was working at Magic Loop or on DPNs. Another thing I did, and now I'm fiddling with it to show you here, as I was working the color work section, I turned the sock inside out, like so. I still knit, I just knit from the inside. But doing this helped me get a nice tension on my color work. The floats had to travel longer because they were going on the outside of the circumference, where if I was just knitting it normally, there might be the risk that the floats would get too tight and the sock would be difficult to wear. But that's a little trick if you're knitting color work on a small circumference. Turn it inside out. That is gonna make sure that your floats are long enough and that they lay nicely and flat. I decided that I would cast on both socks more or less right away because I use my socks as my going out and going around knitting, and working from a chart is not going out and going around knitting. So I thought if I cast on both, then I can bring one past the color work while still having the other ready for if we were in fact going out. So I just cast on this, knit a little bit on the cuff, and now I have this one past the heel. So I actually have this one now as my mindless going out project, and this one is kind of close to being at home, paying very good attention knitting. I'm using the original yarn. It is from the designer herself, her own yarn line. It is a 75/25, and I love it. It's very easy to work with. It's a non-superwash, which is probably what makes it easier to work with than so many other sock yarns. It's quite fine, or a little bit finer than what you'll usually find. It's 210 meters to 50 grams, which is then going to be 420 meters per 100 grams. So a little bit finer than a usual sock yarn. You also do have quite a lot of stitches here up on the leg, but that is obviously to make sure that the color work section is not going to be too tight. I did decrease out some of the extra stitches as I was working down toward the heel, and I've been trying on the sock. It fits my foot perfectly, and I am so excited to be wearing the Nisse on my feet all throughout December. I am, of course, going to link the pattern in the description box below, together with everything else that I talk about. I always forget to say that, but I never forget to do it. So there you go. I guess that's better. My next project is something that you have seen before, and I have been throwing that all over the floor. So excuse me for a second. Here you go. I was making some coasters. I was crocheting these round circles to be used as coasters. I was then looking at my coasters thinking, I can make something. And I worked another round to make them into squares, and I am crocheting up yet another pillow cover. I have been debating, going back and forth. How should I make this pillow cover? I have two different versions of the squares here. The only difference is where I place the round of puff stitches. But yeah, two different versions. I was thinking to just crochet 3 by 3 together and then have enough for the front of the pillow, and just making a huge granny square for the back. But I don't know. I did start crocheting the granny square, and it was as I was looking at that, I was, nah, that's not good enough. Also, these squares, they're more filled out than a granny square, so I would have basically a pillow with a very closed look on the front and a very open look on the back. And I was not loving that. So I ripped back the big granny square and I decided to make 4 by 4 of these little squares, and then crochet a couple of rounds around all 16 of them, and then fold it in on itself like I did on the Sunburst Hexie pillow that I showed you. It was the episode right after the knit-a-thon. I think I showed it, and I also linked the pattern in the description box of that episode. So that's my plan for now. I am almost there. I think I only have 1 or 2 squares to go. So very soon I will be putting these together and crocheting around them, and then I'm gonna let the magic happen. This is a very simple crochet project, and that's what I've been needing. Something simple and small, and yeah, something that could take a bit of my attention and soothe my mind. The last project that I'm going to show you this week is something that I am really excited about. This is also a Christmas project, and it is in a bag that is not a Christmas bag, but these, to me, I know they're very autumnal, these colors, but this could also easily be the color scheme for my Christmas. The purple, the gold, the red, browns, and the green. It's basically the colors of every Christmas decoration I own. This beautiful bag is from the Cotton Stash. She sells her bags on Etsy. You can also find her on Instagram. Her bags are so beautiful and they're so well made. This one is quilted, and even though it's a big bag with not a lot inside, you can see it still holds its shape. It will sit in the on the couch next to me. I will typically just fold down the top to make it into a bucket, and I can then knit right out from there and not get dog hair or chocolate stains or whatever on my yarn. In here, I have a Christmas sweater that was not born as a Christmas sweater. The pattern that I'm using is the Old Timer. It's a pattern by Ina Rainbow. It's this vest that kind of wants to become a sweater. It has a little short sleeve. It reminds me a little bit of my vesty thing, and I am wearing that vest all the time. It's just so easy to wear, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to feel exactly the same way about this one. Instead of the big, beautiful colorwork sections that are on the original, I'm going to knit it just plain one color. And then at the bottom, just before the ribbing, I'm going to add a round of little Nissa. So little, not Santas, but Nissa. The designer of this slip over vest tee actually has a little chart for Nissa. She has made a sweater for herself and I think also for her husband. So she provides the chart for free on Ravelry. It's in her projects section. I'll try to see if I can find it and link it because it is cute. They're small and fat and so cozy. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this. I'm going to knit myself a real Christmas sweater because all the Christmas sweaters that I have are kind of Christmassy, but maybe they're mostly Christmassy to me because I know that I knit them as Christmas sweaters. They don't scream Christmas. But yeah, The old timer is knit with a European shoulder. I am, of course, mid-row. I mean, and the rows are so short. This is ridiculous. But European shoulder, so you cast on for the neck, you work some increases, then you go back and pick up stitches to work the front. You cast on in the middle and work your way down until you're past the armhole, then you joint work in the round and you just zoom. So I'm really enjoying this. The pattern is very, very easy to follow. With these European shoulder patterns, I'm often like, what is going on? If I try to read through the whole section, my eyes kind of glazes over. But in this case, if you just take it one row at a time, it is so easy, so simple. Your hands are really being held here. I am working on relatively heavy needles. These are 5.5 millimeters, which is 8, 9, something like that US. A heavy needle. If you have the Chaugu set, it's the first needle that needs the thicker cord. I am using some drops air. I did not want to spend a lot of money on a sweater that I will only wear a couple of times a year. So I went for the drops air. It was easy to get gauge with this, and I know this yarn. It's so soft. It is so light. Because it is a blow yarn, it's not going to be overly warm, even though it is, of course, a heavier sweater with this big needle. It's still not going to be overly warm. I can easily wear this for all of the Christmas parties that are going to be going on very soon. So I thought this was an obvious choice. Like with all blow yarns, you have to pay attention to the fact that a blow yarn is going to perform differently to a regularly spun yarn. It is as you wear it, as you use it, it is going to pull a little bit up and become wider. It's not going to grow lengthwise like your typical superwash merino will very often do. It's going to grow in the complete opposite direction. It's going to become wider and shorter. And it's nice to know as you are knitting. And because this is a relatively loose gauge for this yarn, of course the growing is going to be more pronounced than if I was knitting it at a tighter gauge. I have knit this yarn to a DK gauge, and when doing so, you can easily do that. And when doing so, it doesn't grow as much widthwise. But the looser the gauge, the more the yarn's natural tendencies are going to come out. So I am going to be paying attention to the fact that my sweater probably needs to be just a little bit tighter and a little bit longer than what I want for the end result. And that was it for my knitting and my crochet this week. I have really enjoyed having something to take my mind away from what was happening around me. I have enjoyed having something to soothe me while allowing my mind to be with what was happening. Yeah, I've enjoyed both types of projects, but more than anything, I've enjoyed all of you. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart.